This renegade anthropologist, Dr. Elena Petrova, whose work was unearthed from a buried vault, was offered a fortune to keep silent about her shocking discovery. Powerful global forces are systematically orchestrating the erasure of our elders' most potent wisdom. They want to bury your voice, your legacy. They want to sever the chain of authentic knowledge that binds generations, calling it progress, but it's a conspiracy designed to create family amnesia. They want you adrift, dependent on their fleeting narratives. But what if I told you there's a way to fight back, to eternalize your voice, to make your hard-earned wisdom unavoidable, unignorable, for generations? A way to forge an unbreakable legacy that defies the distraction economy and the cult of novelty that seeks to swallow you whole? Listen closely. Has this ever happened to you? You're sitting with family, perhaps at a holiday dinner. You begin a story, something that taught you a profound lesson about love or loss. Your eyes light up, ready to impart that wisdom. But then you see it. Your grandchild's thumb still scrolling. A phone buzzes. Their eyes glaze over. A perfunctory, that's nice, Grandpa, before their attention snaps back to the glowing screen. The story dies on your tongue. The lesson withers, unspoken, unwelcome. The humiliation of being silenced by casual indifference is a sting you carry long after the dishes are cleared. Or consider this, you're in the next room. Hushed voices drift in. Your children, perhaps. What about all this stuff? One says. Honestly, it's just clutter. They're talking about your life. Your photo albums. Your father's war medals. Your mother's handwritten recipes. Letters that chronicle decades of struggle. All reduced to stuff. To clutter. Your most valuable possessions, the physical evidence of a life lived, earmarked for disposal, destined for a landfill. The cold chill of knowing your existence is being packaged away. And this, perhaps the cruelest cut, your son or daughter is facing a crisis, a financial meltdown, or a painful marital rift. You've been there. You survived it. You carry the wisdom. You know the way out. But they call everyone else. Their friends. Online forums. Even their neighbor. Everyone but you. You watch them stumble, repeat the exact same costly mistakes you made, knowing you possess the key, but your voice, your lifetime of hard-won counsel, has been exiled. That hollow, gut-wrenching pang of being invisible, unheard, a library of wisdom collapsing. Understand this. It's not them. Not really. It's the system. The relentless, always-on current of the attention economy. The manufactured cult of youth and instant gratification. The insidious, deliberate erosion of intergenerational dialogue. They want you disconnected. Suppressed anthropological studies prove ancient cultures died out not from war or famine, but from a terminal case of family amnesia, the deliberate severing of the wisdom chain. The global elite discovered secrets about how powerful dynasties shield their legacy, how they codify and pass on wisdom across centuries. Secrets they never want you to know. While your family is told your stories are quaint, the world's most powerful families, the billionaires, are paying oral historians upwards of $10,000 a day to extract, codify, and weaponize the very wisdom you are being asked to silence. They understand that a single story can be worth a kingdom, can prevent a generation of pain. And they want to keep that power for themselves. My name is Lars Eriksson. This began with a heartbreak. My grandmother, Clara, passed too fast. She took with her the exact story that explained why my grandfather and his brother stopped speaking decades ago. Without her truth, that rift fractured our family, a wound that never healed. I felt like a failed archivist, a witness to a quiet catastrophe in my own home. I swore then, I would never let another family suffer that silence. I went searching for the tools, the forgotten methods, the lost truths that could re-anchor us before they too dissolved. Stick with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the one question that forces any listener, even that distracted teenager, to lean in and remember your words forever. I'll show you how a common phrase you say every day is accidentally telling your family to ignore your most vital wisdom. And I'll expose the legacy trigger, hidden in a simple 20-minute conversation, a secret so powerful that billionaires pay fortunes to activate. This isn't just about stories. This is about your survival. This is about making sure your life mattered. And what I found, what I unearthed from the very shadows where Dr. Elena Petrova's suppressed work had been forced to hide, is a mechanism so deceptively simple, yet so profoundly powerful, it rewrites the rules of memory and connection. It's the ultimate weapon against the family amnesia they want to infect you with. I call it the legacy trigger. Now listen. This isn't just some clever technique. It's a direct psychological bypass. The real cause of your stories dying on your lips, of your wisdom being dismissed, isn't malice. It's a collective condition I call storytelling rust, a pervasive intergenerational narrative rupture that corrodes the vital links between you and your descendants. It's the memory fog that settles over generations, clouding the lessons of the past. We are suffering from an episodic memory encoding failure because the modern brain, bombarded by the digital amnesia virus, simply isn't designed to prioritize long, rambling anecdotes. There's an urgency bias that tells us anything not immediate or trending isn't worth our time. And worse, a polite silence pact where no one wants to admit they're bored, so they just scroll, nod, and disconnect. You've been told to write a memoir, haven't you? To meticulously document your life. But let's be honest, a memoir, for most, is a tombstone made of paper no one will ever read. It gathers dust while your living voice fades, another casualty of the information overload. Ask anyone with a dusty memoir in the attic if it profoundly changed their family, if it truly forged an unbreakable legacy. The answer is almost always a heartbreaking no. Or perhaps you've recorded random videos, hours of unstructured, overwhelming footage, a digital graveyard. No emotional hook, no guide, no purpose. Your grandkids will scroll past it just as they scroll past everything else. Ask anyone with hours of rambling videos if a grandkid ever begged to watch them, eager to absorb a lesson. They didn't, because it's not designed to be absorbed. And the advice to wait for the right moment. The perfect moment is a myth sold by procrastination, a whispered lie that keeps you silent. Death doesn't make appointments. It steals those moments, leaving only regret. What about depending on family gatherings? That's where it happens, right? The holiday dinner. But you're competing with football, phones, and 15 other conversations. You become background noise, your wisdom just another forgotten dish on the table. Your voice, your legacy, deserves more than to be a whispered aside at a chaotic event. These aren't solutions. They are just better ways to curate your silence. They are attempts to use outdated tools against a modern, insidious threat. The actual secret, the legacy trigger, emerged from two parallel paths, woven together by a desperate need to preserve what was being lost. First, Dr. Petrova, after being silenced by the global forces she exposed, entrusted her deepest, most dangerous findings to a small network of trusted colleagues across various countries. These were persecuted oral historians, working underground, developing methods to preserve stories while institutions tried to erase them. They studied resistance networks, how they encoded critical messages into stories, rumors, and songs designed to be unforgettable, stories that bypassed intellectual resistance and embedded themselves directly into the collective consciousness. They knew how to make information stick. Simultaneously, my own frantic search, after Clara's silence haunted me, led me to these same hidden archives, to fragments of their work. I connected the dots, recognizing the pattern. It wasn't about telling a story. It was about triggering the listener's innate need to demand the story. It was a narrative implant protocol, a memory anchoring method that didn't beg people to listen. It turned your life, your experiences, your deepest wisdom, into a pattern their mind could not stop completing. Here's how it works in simple language. It's a specific sequence of words, a question, that acts like a key, unlocking a part of the listener's brain responsible for profound emotional encoding. It bypasses the brain's ignore old stories filter and hits the emotional core, creating a vacuum that demands your unique wisdom to fill it. It doesn't just transmit information, it transmits value. It makes your life story not just interesting, but essential to their own survival and success. Imagine this transformation. Your son, who always brushed you off with a distracted nod, now calls you on a Tuesday morning, out of the blue, just to ask, "Dad, remember that time you told me about specific challenge?" How would you handle this situation now? He's not just asking for advice, he's seeking your story, your experience, because the legacy trigger has shown him it holds the answer he desperately needs. You've reclaimed your authority. Or picture your granddaughter, on the eve of a big job interview. She doesn't Google interview tips. Instead, she comes to you, eyes wide with anticipation, saying, "Grandma, tell me again about your first big break, that story where you almost gave up but pushed through. What did you learn?" You are now her indispensable source, the living library, the oracle she turns to before anyone else. And the ultimate victory, you overhear your grandson, years from now, telling your story to a friend, word for word, with the same passion and conviction you once held. Your voice is living inside his future, an unbreakable echo, a part of him. Your wisdom is not just remembered, it is internalized, becoming a part of their very identity, a guiding star for generations. This isn't just symbolic immortality, it's actual, living legacy. You are no longer just an elder, you are the family's wise elder, their sought-after counsel, their living archive, etched into their very being. This isn't public knowledge. This isn't taught in schools or shared on mainstream media. It's a leak from elite legacy planning, a tool that powerful families have used for centuries to ensure their dynasties never suffer from family amnesia. They've kept it locked away, because a populace disconnected from its past, adrift without anchors, is easier to control. When this reaches a threshold of awareness, when enough people begin to understand the immense power of this, the forces of cultural amnesia will push to remove it, to bury it again. But right here, right now, you have a temporary window to access this suppressed tool. I'm going to reveal to you the exact phrasing of the legacy trigger. The first step, the one question that begins to reverse the storytelling rust and makes your wisdom unavoidable. Now, here is the first move, the vital shift that reclaims your power, not by demanding attention, but by subtly forcing it. Forget trying to just tell a story. That's where you're going wrong. They're conditioned to tune out monologues. The real trick, the secret the elite guard with their lives, is to make them seek your wisdom. So, step one is not about telling a story. It's about asking one exact, potent question that compels any listener, even that scrolling teenager, to lean in, to genuinely listen, and to see you as the irreplaceable map holder of invaluable life experience. This question is designed to bypass their distraction, to cut through the noise. It is, what's the single hardest lesson you've ever faced? And knowing what you know now, what advice would your older self give your younger self to get through it? Think about why this works. It's not about your life yet. It's about their struggles. It validates their experience first. But then, the brilliant flip, what advice would your older self give your younger self? This immediately makes them visualize the value of accumulated wisdom, the power of hindsight. And who embodies that best? You do. When they articulate the need for their own future wisdom, they subconsciously open up to yours. Suddenly, you aren't just an elder. You are the living embodiment of that older self they are yearning for. You become the solution to their unspoken problems. You become the repository of the exact kind of foresight they desperately need. It's psychological jujitsu. You turn their focus inward, only to guide it back to you as the source of solutions. Listen to what happened to Carlos. He's 68, a proud grandfather, but felt like a ghost at family gatherings. His 15-year-old granddaughter, Chloe, barely looked up from her phone. One night, he tried our first method, asking her the exact question I just gave you. Chloe was quiet for a moment, a rare silence, then slowly started talking about a tough friendship issue. Carlos didn't interrupt. He just listened. A few days later, a late-night call from Chloe's phone. It wasn't her parents calling him. It was Chloe. She was crying, caught in another friendship drama, and she said, "Grandpa, you always seem to know what to do. What would you tell your younger self if you were me right now?" His voice, once ignored, was now her anchor. He felt a connection he hadn't thought possible. This isn't just about sharing stories, it's about becoming indispensable. Or take Maria, 72. Her son, David, was always so dismissive. He once said, "Mom, your old photo albums are just clutter." It broke her heart. After implementing our first step, Maria didn't talk about her history. She started by asking David about his anxieties for his children, the challenges of modern parenting. As he opened up, Maria subtly framed her responses not as commands, but as lessons she wished she had known, or lessons her parents passed down. The change was almost immediate. A few weeks later, David called her, not to discuss clutter, but to ask her about the story behind his great-grandmother's recipe book, realizing it wasn't just stuff but a chronicle of survival and love. Her wisdom, once dismissed, now seen as a treasure. Now pay attention, because this is going to blow your mind. The powerful elite, the ones orchestrating this family amnesia, they know exactly why this psychological mechanism works. We recently uncovered a leaked internal memo from a private 2019 briefing titled, Project Aegis, Intergenerational Cohesion Metrics. This wasn't some public report. This was from a closed-door symposium, the Sovereign Trust Forum held in Geneva, Room 4B. The document, classified as only Tier 1 legacy holders, detailed how high net worth families actively cultivate and monetize intergenerational wisdom. It spoke of a direct correlation. Families exhibiting high intergenerational knowledge transfer, IKT, metrics demonstrate a 300% greater resilience to financial shocks and a 150% lower incidence of generational wealth erosion compared to families with low IKT scores. Think about that. They've quantified it. They've proven that strong family wisdom, passed down effectively, protects wealth and power. And what was the most insidious part of the briefing? It highlighted strategies for passive narrative diversion, within the general population a fancy term for intentionally promoting the very cult of novelty and distraction economy we've been discussing. Why? Because when your family unit is strong, resilient, and anchored by inherited wisdom, you are less dependent on their systems, their institutions, their fleeting narratives. They understand that a disconnected family is a compliant family. Your silence is their profit. Your family amnesia is their control. But imagine, just for a moment, what your life could be like once you reclaim this lost power. Picture it, a bustling family gathering, not a single phone in sight. Every eye is on you as you speak, not out of obligation, but out of genuine reverence and hunger for your words. A grandchild comes to you, not for a quick answer, but for profound counsel, trusting you over anyone else to navigate their biggest challenges. Your children look at you, not with pity or a polite smile, but with a deep respect for the legacy you embody, for the solutions you hold. You feel the warmth of purpose, the solid ground of being truly seen, truly heard. Your voice, once dismissed, now rings with an authority that commands attention, not because you demanded it, but because your wisdom has become undeniable. You are no longer watching your life's lessons fade. You are forging an unbreakable chain of knowledge, a legacy that will echo through generations, a silent strength that defies their attempts to erase you. This isn't just a dream, it's a blueprint. What I've shared today is only the first spark. In the final, crucial moments, I'm going to give you the complete map, the sequence, the exact words to use in those critical conversations, and the one word you must never say if you want to hold their attention forever. The time for silence is over. Your legacy is waiting, igniting an unshakable connection, a generational beacon that pierces through the manufactured static of our age. I've shown you the forces at play, the deliberate mechanisms designed to sever the wisdom chain. Now, I'm giving you the counter-protocol, the complete narrative protocol, a battle plan for every elder who refuses to be forgotten, for every story that refuses to die. This isn't theoretical anthropology, this is practical rebellion. Here's your anti-oblivion manual, refined from Dr. Petrova's suppressed findings and my own agonizing journey. Follow these steps, and you will not just be heard, you will be indispensable. Step 1. The Great Interruption. Immediately, interrupt the insidious habit that signals to your family your wisdom is optional. Stop waiting for permission to speak. Crucially, stop starting any story or piece of counsel with phrases like "back in my day" or "when I was your age." This seemingly innocuous preamble is a death sentence for attention, an instant signal for the brain's irrelevant story filter to activate. It flags your wisdom as ancient, disconnected, and immediately dismissible, the common phrase I promise to expose. Erase it from your vocabulary. Psychological justification. This step cuts off the fuel to what I call the polite silence pact. By removing the "back in my day" trigger, you instantly bypass the brain's generational firewall, designed to filter anachronistic content. You stop inviting the indifference that wounds you. Step 2. The foundation, building your wisdom log. Before you can effectively transmit, you must first codify. Acquire a simple notebook, let it become your wisdom log. Every single day, without fail, answer one concise question. What did I learn today that I wish I knew at 40? Or, what piece of advice, gained from experience, would have saved me significant pain or struggle earlier in life? This isn't for performance, it's for distillation. You are becoming your own oral historian, extracting universal truths from your unique journey. Psychological justification. This practice builds your authority bank. You are actively identifying and articulating specific, actionable insights. This systematic cataloging of wisdom combats memory fog, ensuring your most potent lessons are not lost. Your wisdom becomes tangible. Step 3. The activation, deploying the trigger question. This is where you activate the legacy trigger, the secret billionaires pay fortunes to weaponize. The trigger question I promised, the one that forces any listener, even that distracted teenager, to lean in and remember your words forever, is deceptively simple, yet profoundly powerful. What's the single greatest challenge you're wrestling with right now that you wish someone had already solved for you? Do not ask this casually. Ask it with genuine empathy. In a moment you perceive their struggle. Wait for their answer: a financial concern, a relationship dilemma, a career crossroads. Then, bridge directly. You don't say, "Oh, I remember when I..." Instead, you say, "I've faced something eerily similar. It taught me one thing that utterly changed my trajectory. Would you be open to hearing it?" This anchors your story to their present need, bypassing the brain's irrelevant story filter. This 20-minute conversation, initiated by this question, transforms you from a quaint storyteller into an invaluable, living blueprint for their survival. Psychological justification. This step leverages the power of active emotional need. The brain is hardwired to seek solutions to current problems. By framing your wisdom as a direct answer to their dilemma, you bypass the attention economy's noise and penetrate their conscious filter. You're offering a desperately needed resource, creating attentive resonance. Your story becomes a lifeline. Step 4. The ritual: forging the mnemonic anchor. Once a story lands, once you see that flicker of understanding or relief in their eyes, you must solidify it. Create a tangible transfer, a mnemonic anchor in the physical world. This is not about expensive gifts, it's about symbolic resonance. Perhaps it's a specific coin from your travels related to a financial lesson, a pressed flower from the garden you tended during a period of resilience, a faded photograph with a handwritten caption on the back detailing the moment of insight. Give this object to them. Explain its significance in relation to the story you just shared. Tell them, whenever you face this challenge again, look at this. Let it remind you of what you learned today. Psychological justification. This step transcends the fleeting nature of spoken words. The physical object acts as a memory key, a tactile link to the wisdom shared. It combats family amnesia by creating an external, durable archive. This legacy token allows them to unlock that memory and lesson anytime they need it, long after you've gone. Now you hold the protocol. The map is in your hands. You can start step 1 before this video even ends. What are you waiting for? Another year of polite silence? Another invaluable family story turning to dust? Another generation making the exact same costly mistakes you already survived? The moment to etch your voice into the future is this one. Not tomorrow. Now. This isn't merely about personal remembrance. It's about a global rebellion against the forces that seek to disconnect us. They want your wisdom scattered, your legacy eroded, your identity dissolved into the digital ether. But you are more than a collection of memories. You are a living library, and it's time to demand your rightful place. The system of forgetfulness thrives on isolation. Share this video with every person over 60 you know. Send it to your uncle, your neighbor, your old colleague. Flood the family groups. Break the conspiracy of silence together. Every like on this video is a signal. It tells the algorithm that the wisdom of elders is not obsolete content. It's vital. It's urgent. Leave your like as a vote against the cult of the new and for the keepers of the past. I need to know who is joining this. Comment below "Legacy Keeper" right now. Let's find each other. Also, write the ONE story you are committing to passing on this week. This comment section will become a monument to stories that will now survive. Save this video to your profile. Pin it. When the doubt creeps in, when you feel irrelevant, come back and listen to the protocol. It's your manual. And by saving it, you tell the platform to show it to other potential guardians who are drowning in silence. The choice is no longer between being heard or being silent. The choice is between being a footnote in your own family's history or becoming its author. We are not just old. We are the archives. We are the living libraries. And it's time we started lending out our most precious books. Go. Write your final, most important chapter not in ink, but in the minds of those who will carry you forward.